A new strain of COVID, a new COVID mutation, shows that the Republican Party's herd immunity strategy was the tactic of a soulless sellout party that has to reform or deserves to die. Check it out, leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. And this new variation of COVID that has caused not only Boris Johnson, the conservative Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, a fellow in arms with Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell and, you know, basically the Republican Party in the United States and the Tories in the UK, right down to the point that Boris Johnson let the virus just rip wild through the British population for months because his science advisor, his health minister, was saying, well, yeah, herd immunity, that's a good thing. We should do that. And now Sweden, which, Tars, or what was his name? Engel, I believe his last name was. The Swedish economist said, well, we should just, protect the people who are vulnerable and let everybody else get sick and get immune. And now he has apologized. The King of Sweden came out and said this is stupid. Other Scandinavian countries are offering emergency support as Sweden has been melting down. Well, the UK is melting down. And when you allow a virus to rage like Boris Johnson did for a while, I mean, he put a stop to this a month or three ago. But here in the United States, we've never put a stop to it at the level of the nation, the federal government. In fact, we now know from internal emails that we've seen that the goal of the Trump administration was to infect as many Americans as possible, which means that the goal of the Trump administration and the Republicans in Congress who support them was to, frankly, kill as many Americans as possible. And they've done a very good job of that. They've killed over 300,000 of us so far. They have permanently disabled what will probably be 4, 5, 6 million of us so far. And they have given 18 million of us a pre-existing condition that the insurance companies will play with us about for years and years if we sign up for privatized Medicare, like Medicare Advantage, or if you're under 65 and you just are stuck with private insurance companies. So, that's where we're at. But now one of the downsides of letting a virus just rip is that there are lots more viral replications. The way a virus works is it attaches itself to the outside of a cell. It uses it's different for different viruses. It uses one of the surfaces, one of the sites on the surface of that cell as basically an entry point, as a keyhole that it fits into like a key and inserts itself into the cell, and then it pours its DNA or its RNA into the cell and hijacks the cell's own master control system. It's like a computer taking over a computer and causes the cell to convert all of its own physical material, the cytoplasm, and basically everything in the cell gets converted into viruses until finally the cell dies and bursts open and millions of new viruses are released into the body. So that's how viruses work. So the question is, what causes them to stick to that cell? And we know that on the COVID virus, it's this spike protein, and it's actually a fairly complex protein that is attached to the virus that is sort of like the tongue on a fly, where it's got a little sucker on the end of it, and the fly lands on your hand and goes. You can see his tongue going tap 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 tap, and as he's eating, or sucking up the food. Well, the spike protein is kind of like that, and it appears. And now this is. I'm trying to use metaphor to explain what I was reading doing a deep dive in the British Medical Journal over the weekend. But it appears that basically the new variation of this virus, it has a snappy new name. It's called the VIU 202012/01. In other words, it's the variant under investigation from December 2020. 202012/01, day one of December 2020. It's the N501Y mutation on the spike protein. And apparently what this does is it makes this virus essentially stickier for our individual cells and these little ACE2 receptors, these sites on the cells that the virus uses to inject its material into our cells so it can infect us. So whereas it used to be that if you were, in a store and breathing the air that everybody's breathing, you might breathe in a few dozen or a few hundred or even a few thousand virus particles, but it takes tens of thousands or maybe even millions of virus particles to be hitting you before a couple of them actually stick to a cell and begin the cell replicating, and boom, you've got COVID, right? And nobody knows the exact numbers, and I'm just throwing out for example numbers here, whether it's 20 viruses or whether it's 20 million viruses that it takes to produce an infection. One thing we do know is that the more viruses there are, the rapider the infection overwhelms your immune system and the more severe your case is. That's one thing that they're quite sure of. So it appears that this mutation means that instead of being exposed to 1,000 virus particles to get infected, now it only takes 500 or maybe 600. It's 74% more infectious. Instead of being exposed to 10 million virus particles, now it only takes 6 million or 4 million, whatever would be 74% more. And what that means for us, nobody's really sure of, but the best guess is that we used to stand 6 feet away where everybody's wearing a mask because that would reduce the number of virus particles to the point where typically if any got through, they didn't infect us. It may be, and nobody is asserting this yet because we just don't know enough about this virus, but it may be that 6 feet no longer works. And this was part of the debate that I was seeing over at, as I recall, at BMJ, is should we raise the distance from 6 feet, 2 meters, to 5 meters, 15 feet, that people stay away from each other? Do we need to increase ventilation in buildings?